Boom, boom, boom. This is Jared, and I'm back. Hey, I'm so excited to bring another exciting episode of Warriors Quest. Man, we're live tonight, and man, let's get this rocking because tonight it's going to be lit. All right, man, we've got a great guest tonight. All right, but please, all right, make sure you share this because we need to get this message out there to as many people as possible. To make that happen, I need you to please hit that share button. All right. So I'm gonna introduce a very special guest. All right. This guy is a kidney warrior. All right. Okay. This kidney warrior also has lupus. That's how he has kidney disease. All right. And has been through just an adventure. Okay. From California, I'm going to bring to you Emmitt Henderson. All right. And I'm gonna give him a very special introduction. Boom. All right. Welcome to Warriors Quest, Emmitt.
Hey, ho. Good evening, guys. Good evening. Thanks for having me.
Oh, man. My pleasure. My pleasure. So, man, I tried to wear some purple. I'm hoping it stands out a little bit. It looks a little blue on my end, but it's purple.
That's all right. I got enough purple for the both of us, so we're good. We're good.
All right. Very nice. All right, brother. Well, man, I was excited to bring you on because this month, okay, is Lupus Awareness Month. And,
Sir.
and so I really wanted to bring you on. At first, I was going to bring you on as a co-host, but, man, my guest rescheduled. I thought, well, it's Lupus Awareness Month in May. All right. He's got a story all on his own anyway. And so I'm excited to bring you on and just exclusively have you tell your story because, man, I've looked at your Instagram. I've looked at your Facebook page. It's an interesting story. So, because many people, they think and they have this misconception that generally only women have lupus. And so introduce yourself for us and let's begin and have you tell your story, bro.
Oh, man, I'd love to. It starts with me as Emmitt Henderson III out here from sunny California, San Diego. Back in 1995, when I was having some pains through my body, which couldn't explain. As a guy, of course, it took a lot for me just to go to the hospital. A little pain here and there, didn't do anything. I managed the automotive shop, so the guys depended on me, and I couldn't miss work for anything. So until at one point, I started having pains in my lower back part of my body. The owner of the company was there with me at the time in my shop, and he was kind of concerned. So he had asked me to go get checked and just to go to the clinic. And, the guy that I am, I'm refusing because I'm okay. Don't think it's anything like that. So I had no choice when the owner tells you to go get checked. You just got to go get checked.
Right.
So it was one of those, okay, let me get checked. Let me let them tell me I got cramps, I got gas, something simple, and I'm going to be right back at the shop doing what I do. And don't you know, I ended up going to the clinic, and after 8 hours of testing, of doing every test that they can do at the clinic, they broke down and told me that we don't know what's going on with you. You need to go to the hospital. So from that point, went straight to the hospital. This is the easy part where now I'm laying in there in the hospital. They get me IV'd up. They pretty much check all my vitals. They check everything. They see all my labs. They get everything done. And then they put me in the room. Now I'm stuck in the room now, 19 days later of going through every test that you can, bloods, cultures, tests.
Wow.
Man, it was like still didn't know. I'm gonna tell you, one of the scariest parts of these tests that I've done was just to get diagnosed. They had to do an HIV test on me. So at that point, I was like told that every other disease that they thought that I would have, I did not have. But when they did this HIV test, of course, running through my mind, what if it is? And I was pretty scared. I was like scariest moment of my time in the hospital. But the next day I had to sleep on it, which, I barely slept at all. But then the
Right.
next morning, I finally get the results that I was negative. So now the doctors were still baffled about what it is that it was.
Mm-hmm.
Then the very next time, a lady, she's probably about 4'11", and her name is Dr. Fronig, which bless her heart, she was my rheumatologist for 24 years. She diagnosed me with systemic lupus. But what made it strange about it at that time was when she told me that she thinks I have a disease that would be rare for me. I'm an African American, mixed Filipino blood, male,
Mm-hmm.
young. I'm 25
Okay.
years old. I didn't fit that description of somebody having lupus back in 1995. So
Okay.
when she said that, I'm like, okay, well, didn't know anything about it, never heard of it before. My first
Uh-huh.
question to her was, am I going to die? And she said, we can treat it. And I said, okay, cool. Let's treat it. Let me go back to work. Let's move on. Let's get my life going. Man, I
Okay.
wish it was as simple as that, Jared. I wish it really
It's not though,
was.
is it?
No, not at all. Not at all. What they ended up doing was administering steroids. So, for all of you lupus people that know what prednisone and what steroids does to us, I went from a 25-year-old guy that had everything going for me, and all of a sudden, these steroids and this diagnosis literally did a 360-degree with me. It made me gain up to almost 50 pounds worth of water weight, where
Wow.
at that point
Right.
at that
Wow.
point and we're talking about like within a month's time. So people seeing me at my normal times, and then all of a sudden
Mm-hmm.
a month later, it's just like my family even couldn't believe. So when the word lupus came about, I was still in the hospital at that point. It was 19 days after they diagnosed me,
Mm-hmm.
but then I was still in there more, getting administered intravenously all of this medication, and
Okay.
just the changes that came, and then telling me that the pains I'm having were from my kidneys. I was having kidney failure, so they deemed me as renal failure at that time as well, knowing and telling me
At
that.
that time as well.
Oh,
Wow.
oh yeah, oh yeah. And they told me it's just a matter of time. They're going to watch my filtration, my GFR, just to check to see how
Mm-hmm.
everything is going. And over a period of time, they predicted I'm gonna have a transplant. So as resilient I was like, you know what? Let me get out of here. Let me get back to working out. Let me get back to myself. We'll see if that ends up happening or not. So, and that's one thing about lupus. As a guy, we kind of not revert to succumbing to whatever the doctors are telling us. Not saying anybody does. Not saying women does, but you're going to tell me all this thing, and I'm thinking the total opposite. I'm thinking, okay, you're going to tell me I'm going to have issues with this and that. I think that just let me get a chance to overcome it, and I'll be fine, because that's how it was for the first 25 years. So once that came all about, and everything just started coming to me, I get released out of the hospital. I'm again almost 50 pounds heavier than what I was with water weight.
How
Man,
did that make you feel? How did that make you feel though? Like with that water weight, did you feel like lethargic? I mean, how did that make you feel?
for me, physically, it was bad. I lifted weights prior, and I felt I was in good physical shape, but I felt
Mm-hmm.
lethargic. I felt slow. I couldn't ball a fist without, really
Wow.
feeling really tight. That's how it was.
Mm-hmm.
But I think more for me, it was also a mental thing as well. So at a young
Okay.
age, at 25, because of it being mental, I did not want it to break me down. Like I said, I had a good job. I bought my own property. I had my own vehicle I own. I had everything going for me to where I'm not going to let this just break me down and
Yeah.
lose everything I got. So
Uh-huh.
forget about how I look physically. Let me maintain income. Let me
Yeah.
maintain everything I need to get everything going. And that's how I think I was able to build up enough strength to where lupus can do anything to me. As long as I maintain this pattern of living life, I should be
Mm-hmm.
fine. But then
Okay.
but then the spiral part about it is that lupus kept messing with me, man. It kept bringing up things to where just when I think that I'm feeling good about it, something comes up and I have a flare. I go into the hospital. That flare turns into a problem with my lungs, then my gallbladder, then my
Oh my
kidneys still again,
gosh.
just on and on and on. Now, keep in mind, even prior to going to the hospital with all these flares, I still needed to learn about lupus because I was not sure at all what still lupus was, other than what the doctors told me. But I think the biggest thing that stuck to my mind was that when I was told lupus is a woman's disease. So, when I was out and about, the last thing I did was tell somebody, Emmett, are you okay? Or what's going on with you? I have lupus. What are they going to think? That, Emmett, you got a woman's disease? It's like it was embarrassing to me at the time. We're still talking about the 90s again, where lupus is not known at all.
Sure.
Bad enough that
Right.
it still needs a lot of awareness now, but just the fact
Mm-hmm.
that back then it didn't have much at all. So there was a lot of things mentally I had to keep myself in mind to just be real, forward in regards to what's going on with me, to where I had to keep my
Mm-hmm.
stamina and I still had to be that tough guy at the same time.
Okay.
So it was pretty tough going through that. But in regards to the what the steroids and everything did to me, I had the butterfly face, even though I got the dark skin, but it was there, believe that. And then, of course, the way that my facial features were, it's just, you would not have recognized me, should I say, Jared. If I would have showed you a picture back then, you would not have recognized me. It was just that bad.
And that was
Um,
because of that was the prednisone, right?
That was the prednisone, but they had me at high dosage because of the
Okay.
aggressiveness of my lupus. I was at
All right.
home
All
doing
right.
up to 80 milligrams of prednisone, and that was for a long time. When I would have a flare going to the hospital, that 80 went up to 125 intravenously, and
Oh,
it was a
wow.
mess, man. It was a mess. And everybody that's out there that knows about the prednisone, it's a double-edged sword. It helps you, but then at the same time,
Right.
it just does so much. But then other than that, it's more of, that was a big part of my life that I feel like this is what lupus is doing to me. I just got to bounce back and get better. So the parts that I was mentioning in regards to keeping mindful and keeping my mind
Uh-huh.
on I had two kids at a young age. I was a
Okay.
manager of my department at the work, at the
Mm-hmm.
job, so I had so much going for me. I didn't want to lose sight of that. The only sight that I did lose though was time off of work. They literally, told me not to go to work, and sometimes at that point I tried to force myself to do it, but my body wouldn't keep up. My
So
body wouldn't keep up.
so is it because you felt like maybe you were letting your team down, or what was it that made you feel like you had to go to work? Other than being, of course, well, we're men,
Right,
and
right.
you know.
Well, and to be honest with you, what it was that was part of it. Not to let my team down, because the way
Yeah.
that my productivity was at work, I was regarded really high. So I didn't want
Uh-huh.
to let any of that slow me down. But I think it was more of, because of lupus, me being told lupus is a woman's disease and it's kind of rare in men. I just felt like maybe I just had to beat the odds to where, okay, I'm not going to let this sit me down anymore. I'm 25 years old. I got a lot of life ahead of me. I got a lot of people to meet, places to go.
Amen, brother.
I'm not going to let this thing, take me down, or pretty much keep me at a point to where all I'm doing is staying at home and in bed all day. So I defy the odds so many times, but a lot of times it backfired. It backfired too.
What do
But
you mean by
again,
that?
well, what I
Like
mean by
it's
that is that,
setbacks?
yeah, well, in the automotive industry is what I did. I managed service departments to where I was
Uh-huh.
able to go into work and kind of keep me off the books a little bit to do that. And I woke up, even though I was in pain, I got up and
Uh-huh.
I did it. It's just that when I went back to work, the part that I mean is that when I got there, I was useless to everybody. I
Oh,
couldn't
wow.
hardly move. I had to stay in my office, and I literally felt like if I put my head down, I'm out for the rest of the day. So what good am I to
Yeah.
anybody if I'm not good to myself?
Right.
So I realized, and I think that's where more of my self-care part of it and more of cleaning up my mental health kind of kicked into where I need to take care of myself first in order for me to do for others. And if I can master that and get that
Gotcha.
done, then I think I'll be all right. And yeah, that's kind of what I had to end up
Mm-hmm.
doing.
All right. Right on. I like that. So in that midst of trying to, keep your head right, and have that positive vibe and positive mentality, how what would you do, to do that? I mean, is it music, or is it watching an Oakland Raiders game, or what did
But
you do
yeah,
to keep your
you,
mind right, and keep yourself encouraged,
you know what? I'm a big Raider fan and I'm a big football fan, period. So sports definitely
Yeah.
is what kept me going. And the more that I kept myself busy, whether it was sports, whether it was doing projects at home, whether it was just being much too more to myself and doing things in my circle, it would keep me off of being sick. When you wake up and you have to take up to about 20 pills in the morning and then 20 plus more pills again at night,
Wow.
it's like in between that time, you want to enjoy what you can. In the morning, I wake up, I take my pills. I'm like, okay, these are going to get me by till the evening. So
Hmm.
because I'm off work, I'm getting paid disability. Now it's like, I'm not the type, and that's personally me, not knocking anybody that stays home and gets rest, but I'm just the type that I
Yeah.
cannot. I see, we're in San Diego. You give me some sunny days and some palm trees, I'm trying to find somewhere to go and do something. But keep in
Uh-huh.
mind, though, keep in mind the first early years, I was 40, 50 pounds heavier to where I was a little bit
Okay.
embarrassed. Prior to that, yeah, I
Yeah.
was having fun life. I'm clubbing, I'm going here, doing this, doing that, taking girls
Uh-huh.
out on dates. But once I gained that weight that the prednisone did to me, I didn't want to see any woman outside. I didn't want to see, go into the gathering I would normally do, because my question is, would they accept me the way I am? Probably not.
Mm-hmm.
They would look at me and make fun
All
of me.
right.
But yet, I don't need to explain myself to anybody either as well. So
No, not at all. Yeah.
I just kind of kept to myself. Oh, and not to mention the lady that I was with at the time when I first got diagnosed, she up and left me because she was
Come
afraid.
on.
Oh man, she did.
For
She
real,
was afraid
dog?
that I was sick. Oh yeah. She was afraid I had a
No.
disease, but didn't understand
Like
the
you would
disease.
infect her in some way?
Exactly.
Oh
Exactly.
my gosh.
Yep. And it's cool because it's kind of like, I mean, it's nothing back then. Damn sure ain't
Yeah.
nothing now.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess it was an indicator it wasn't going to be long term if that's her mentality or,
Absolutely
the way
right.
she thinks.
Absolutely right. And that's why
Yeah.
education is a key. Education is a key with
It
lupus,
is.
with a lot of autoimmune diseases. People need to learn and understand what those diseases are about, because they cannot speak on it
Mm-hmm.
if they don't know nothing about it.
Amen to that. Because they just come off ignorant, right? I mean, they
Oh,
don't know any better.
oh, very much, very much, very much.
So what are some examples maybe that you've been out in public and you've had to explain that you've got lupus, and
Man.
what have people have said, and maybe give us some examples of maybe some ignorance, or maybe they had a misunderstanding about what lupus is or whatnot.
Well, one of the biggest stories that really, really got to me and made me realize I shouldn't be out here was when I did try to go to work at an early time.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw a customer of mine that I've seen over the past maybe 2 years or so. So he sees me for the first time. He goes, Emmett, you've been gone for a while. And then jokingly, he tells me, it looks like you haven't missed a meal. And so I
Oh my
laughed
gosh.
I laughed with him, only just to show the sarcasm in that. But in the
Uh-huh.
back of my mind, of course, I'm thinking this normally isn't me. Why is he saying this? And then I pulled him to the side a little bit and I told him, hey, I was gone for a while because I was diagnosed with the disease called lupus. And because he didn't know exactly what it was, he was like, well, so what does it do? Does it cause you to eat a lot? And
Oh
I'm
my
like, what?
gosh.
So, and I'm telling you, Jerry, when that just told me right there was no comeback, there was no nothing. This was more of a moment as this guy needs to be educated. That's what that was.
You're
So
right, right. Okay, it's a teaching moment for him, right?
it was, and you know what? The ones that you could tell, the ones in your circle that will take the time to understand and listen to you, and will
Uh-huh.
take it all in. The ones that won't are the ones that you don't really need to explain to yourself, and let life go on and let them move on.
All right. So the ones that ride with you now are really your true homies because they understand
Oh,
you and they get you, right?
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But other
All
than
right.
that,
So
I had.
in that time
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
you kept working, and then
Right.
so what's kind of the progression of how you were working, and then did you have to take any time off during that time, or what happened after that?
Yeah, there in every thank you. Every time that I've had a flare, which
Uh-huh.
my flares, and I'm gonna tell you what, as aggressive as my lupus was, my flares were happening over 1 year period of time. I was in the hospital for a week and a half every single month. And
Wow.
so that would cause me to lose work basically, because I show up to work and then I'm gone for 2 weeks or so at a time.
Mm-hmm.
The flares were so bad where I had to prepare for a doctor's visit, meaning just like, when a woman's pregnant, they have a diaper bag ready just in case that they have the baby, they're ready to go.
Yeah.
Man, that's how it was with me,
You've
man. I
got
had a
something.
bag. Oh,
Oh
yeah.
my
I had a
gosh.
bag with my essentials, my DVD player at the
Uh-huh.
time. And every time I had a flare, I would go into the hospital. But there were a lot of times where I was off of work and that was happening during that year period. But just when I thought
Okay.
everything else was fine, I'd go back
Yeah.
to work and then I'd have something else come up. I had a shoulder replacement that gave me off in about 2.5 months. I had a knee replacement. I had, just so much other procedures that were done that I was off and on. Now, I'm going to tell you the fortunate thing, though, is that my company and employers, because of the work that I put in, they managed to keep me on the roster and the payroll and keep my insurance going instead of saying, hey, your 90 day is up, we can't keep you any longer. So
Oh, bro.
I'm
Wow.
very blessed in that department.
Yeah.
Very blessed in that department. And this is what's even current right now. I've been out of work since July 2019 because of a
Hmm.
new issue with lupus in the brain. And I'm still on their payroll. I just pay them my money for the insurance benefits and they keep it going, which easily from July to now,
Wow.
they could have told me that. So I'm very
They,
grateful for that.
wow. Yeah, that is dope, man.
It
They
is.
could have done, yeah, they could have just said,
Yeah.
"Hey, see you." Yeah.
Then I would have had to apply for the Cobra, which is a million times more than
Oh my
regular
gosh.
insurance, or even apply for some type of benefit or Medi-Cal. Which, if I got to do that to keep myself alive, then believe it, that's what's going to be done. But because
For
they're on
sure,
my
yeah.
side and they got my back, that's why I'm really grateful. That's why I'm grateful.
Nice. So, man, you must have had a pretty good bond with them then. Like you built a pretty good relationship where that they're like giving back in some way. I mean,
You know what?
how did that happen?
They never really excuse me, they never really told me why they're doing it. I just know
Yeah.
that every time I go up there, they're like, hey, Emmett, we're glad to see you, we're glad everything is fine. I was told that don't even worry about anything about us on our side, your job is here with us no matter what. And I was just told that recently. So it's
Wow.
just more of when I got there, I was a big asset to them, and I did my job
Hmm.
the way I was supposed to. So it pays off. Hard work pays off. And in my
It
case,
does.
it's
Yeah.
paying off by being blessed with them keeping my insurance, so I don't have to go through these financial issues without having insurance.
All right. No, man, that's a good story on its own. But the other story that I wanted to get to, you shared with me offline, is that with lupus, and you alluded to it earlier that it affected your kidneys, and and they told you had kidney failure. So
Hmm.
let's talk about that because that story is very inspiring to me. So when it started to affect your kidneys, you know how long how long was it before you had to go on dialysis?
They predicted that I'd be on dialysis probably within the next 5 years from
Uh-huh.
1995. So that brought it up to the year 2000. I ended up going on dialysis in 2011. So I prolonged that much time to get past it. And all I did was basically trying to keep myself in shape, try to keep myself eating right. I did all of the extractions or taking all the extracts, should I say, that was good for kidneys and all that,
Uh-huh.
and maintain. I think because I kept myself mentally busy, it also carried my body physically because of that. Now, when I say mentally busy, meaning that I kept my mind on work, I kept my mind on projects, I kept my mind on everything except being sick. Unless I really had gotten sick, then I would be mindful enough to take the time to rest and relax and get myself going. So fast forward now to 2013, my GFR, my filtration rate is getting worse now. I get a call. I'm at work now. Keep in mind,
All
check
right,
this
all
out, Jerry.
right.
I'm at work and I do my normal blood work as usual, where they test for everything in a lupus patient, right?
Uh-huh.
So I do my lab work. I go to work the next day. And then the next day I get a phone call and I see it's my doctor's office. So the doctors are telling me, hey, Emmett, because of your blood work, we need you to come in right away. And I'm like, Doc, what's wrong? Well, we'll talk about it when you come in. We just need to start a procedure and we need to get you going. I told the doc, I said, well, Doc, we see if we can maybe schedule this next week because I'm at work right now and I got a lot of things going on. And she tells me, are you working? And I said, yes, I am. How are you working? How are you working? How are you feel? I said, I feel okay. I feel a little, slow, but I'm fine. So no, Emmett, we need you now. Your kidneys are failing. We need to get you on dialysis right away. So I'm like,
Oh
okay.
my
And
gosh.
again, yeah, but see, unfortunately, my mindset at the time was like, I go to the boss and I'm like, all right, guys, it looks like I got to take off for a little bit. Give me about a couple of days and I'll see what happens. I didn't go
Uh-huh.
back to work till about a year later after that.
Oh my
But
gosh.
what had happened was that when I went in the next day that they got me
Yeah.
in there, they immediately scheduled for a peritoneal dialysis. And
All
if
right, all
anyone
right.
out there knows what that is, that's where they put a tube into my peritoneal section in my lower, or
Mm-hmm.
excuse me, my upper part of my stomach. And that's the filtration dialysis that I did for a year, over a year, for 9 hours every single night. So I did not do traditional dialysis where I went into a clinic 2, 3 times a week,
Okay.
3, 4 hours a day.
Uh-huh.
Mine was 9 hours every single night. So they put a tube inside me, and every day, which I couldn't go to work because the employer now at that time was like, Emmett, we just need you to get better. Do whatever you got
Yeah.
to. Don't even think about coming to work. Just get better. So I'm having all this time in the daytime until nighttime. I had to plug in, and that
Right.
literally was keeping me alive for my dialysis for over a year. And then
So,
go
so
ahead.
Emmett, let me ask you, did they give you the options, say hemodialysis and and PD, peritoneal, or did they just say, this is what we feel it would be the best thing for you? What kind of options did they give you?
No, thanks for bringing that up. They did give me the option, and I weighed the option. And
Uh-huh.
at that time, because of how I told you, I was trying to keep myself so busy and trying to keep my mind off of
Right.
being sick that I
Uh-huh.
wanted to do it at night because I felt I was going to be so active in the day that if I am drained and tired at night, peritoneal dialysis would be perfect. I'm gonna be in bed for 9 hours with a 30-foot cord. It's not like I can go anywhere. So
Right.
I laid it down for 9 hours, got the
Uh-huh.
dialysis done overnight,
Yeah.
woke up the next morning, just disconnected, and I was out doing my day. And at the time, like I
Doing your
said,
thing. Yeah.
whether it was housework, I worked on cars, whether it was just anything I can do to keep my mind off of being sick. So I did go that route.
All
And
right.
it got to a point where in between that time, I was blessed to have my family and friends do a drive for me for a kidney match. We had over almost 200 people come in and do tests. Unfortunately, not one person was a match. So it got to a point to where I was going to the doctors again, and they was telling me that it's time now. I've been on the list. I just need to get a kidney fast because my kidneys were dropping, and my body over a year was getting beat up by having this dialysis done all the time. So I
Okay.
remember I told specifically my family to not test for me for a match. And that's only because, as much procedures that I've been through to the hospital, I didn't want my family to do it. So when it got to that point where they were telling me that it's real critical for me now, and I was getting sick, I was showing it now.
All right.
My family went behind my back, and of course they tested. And the way that I knew that they tested, and the way that I knew that how my life was going to be next happened in Father's Day in June 2012, when me and my brothers and my father got together to exchange gifts like we normally do. And I see that my brothers, exchanging gift cards to these nice places, and I'm like, dang, I can't wait to see what mine was. And I get a paper bag with a small can of kidney beans. And so I'm looking at my brother like, yo, what am I gonna do with this? You want me to cook you lunch or make you a salad or something? And then he goes, no. Yeah, he tells me, no, I'm giving you my kidney. And I'm
Oh my
like,
gosh.
okay, yeah, I see that. And then right after I made that comment, I see you're giving me I just stopped, man. It
And
was
then,
like
oh
the
wow.
flood of emotions that came over me at that time and came over my family and my mother there who started crying. I picked it up right
Wow.
away. He's giving me a
Yeah.
kidney. My brother was 100% match on every single marker for the kidney test, to where we were told that that should be a 20-year kidney for me. So, man, that was like, the best Father's Day I've ever had.
Wow. How did it make you
Wow.
feel? How did that make you feel at that moment, bro?
You know what? Like I said, the flood of emotions that were going through me was more of unspeakable. I can't even imagine how I could ever have those feelings again because of that. My
Yeah.
brother sacrificing a kidney to give me a second life. And
Mm-hmm.
because of it, he knows everything I put into not trying to be sick. He knows everything I did to make every occasion despite being sick. I attended family events. I attended everything. I had never used my sickness as an excuse to miss a family function. And they seen it in me that I struggled to do it, but I still did it. So they
Yeah.
felt like they owed it to me, which to me, I'm not owed anything. I'm just owed, love. That's it. But that's what they did for me, man. And I
Uh-huh.
can't, to this day, it's still one of the best things that ever happened to me.
Wow.
And of course, I celebrate the anniversary every year of my kidney transplant with him,
Mm-hmm.
in honor of it. So after that June Father's Day, fast forward to February 2013, we
Okay.
are side by side in the hospital, ready to get it done.
Nice.
Yeah, it
Wow.
was deep. It was deep.
That is deep. But man, what kind of bond, did that like create a stronger bond than what you had previously? How did that help you guys, as far as your relationship goes?
My family and I, we were always pretty tight, and of course,
Yeah.
that just magnified it a lot.
Yeah.
And then to have my sister, my brother, all of us there at the same time to witness that, it was a lot. During my times of every incident I had, whether I had hospital stays to all the major surgeries, my heart problem that I had, which was large, they were all there for me, during everything. So we were already close. Unfortunately, I'm the only one in the family that came down with an illness. Being the older brother out of them all, it was my job to set an example. So it was another reason why I couldn't show being weak.
Yeah.
I couldn't show being letting this beat me to where my brothers and sisters, depended on somebody else. Even though we're adults at the time, they still looked up to me as, helping them out in any situation.
Hmm.
But it made us really close.
Wow. That is so inspiring. That's so inspiring, man.
It
Father's Day
is.
gift, and then a year later, I mean, and the way they presented it to you on Father's Day, I mean, that's just an inspiring story. I love that.
Best gift I could ever get. Best
Yeah,
gift.
it
Yes.
is. So, and of course, because it sounds like because it's like a sibling sort of, donation, because it was
Yeah.
such a good match, they're estimating, and obviously there's not a crystal ball, but they're
Right.
estimating or projecting it maybe a 20-year sort of kidney, which
Yes.
is awesome. But um, what, so with it being a sibling match, are you still taking, the how many immunosuppressants are you taking now? Have you been able to kind of, have a since you've had that? What was it, 2014?
Yeah. 13
Was
was the
that?
actual transplant. And since
Okay,
then,
gotcha. Okay.
yeah, I'm on 6 depressant medications right now, suppressant medication right now, along with
Mm-hmm.
the transplant. Well, that's part of the transplant medication with
Yeah.
lupus medication, and then of course
Okay.
medication to help the symptoms from the other medication. And everybody with this type of illness knows that it just doesn't stop with one med. I wish it did.
No.
I wish
Yeah.
that I could just take one magic pill that will take care of everything, but unfortunately, it's not
Right.
like that. It's not.
Yeah, and that's why awareness is so important, and that's why I'm glad we're doing this together today, bro. Because not only are you, it does your kidney problem not end. It is obviously a better quality of life.
Yes.
Having the transplanted kidney, you're not on, dialysis anymore, and you don't have the
Right.
feelings that you had previously when you were struggling with renal failure. But you're still not out of the woods, but even after having your kidney transplant, okay, you still have lupus, and so
Right.
that didn't go away. And so, man,
No.
um, and that's why, mad respect. Okay, I do have mad respect for you, bro, because not only did you become a kidney warrior, but you're like a double warrior because you're still a lupus warrior. So, and
Right.
you're battling every day. Okay, you're taking on your immunosuppressants. You're battling with that. Then you're still battling as a lupus warrior. Um,
Hmm.
and again, how do you do this? Where do you get your internal drive to move forward and have that positivity and that energy to to say, hey, listen, this does not define me. This does not, this does not beat me.
You know what? I think the worst case of a flare and a problem that I had with lupus is what actually proved to myself that if I can get past this, I can get past almost everything. And that's when lupus got to my heart. Lupus
Hmm.
got to my heart to where I was in the hospital for over a period of a total of about 2.5 months. And about 3 weeks of it, I was in a
Wow.
coma. The team of doctors
Wow.
had told my parents
You
that
were in a coma?
yeah, I was in a medically induced coma
Man.
in order for myself to not have any further damage to my heart because
Yeah.
I had cardiomyopathy where my heart was not strong enough to pump through my body. So I literally was on machines to keep me going.
Wow.
During that time, they had told my father at one critical point that they might as well start planning my funeral, that I wasn't going to
Are
make
you
it.
are you kidding
And
me?
yeah, no, Jared, not at all. And check this
Man,
out.
how scary is
They,
that for your family?
it it tore my family apart. But my dad, being the strong person that he is, I had a panel of doctors at the time.
Mm-hmm.
When my dad was told that by that doctor, my dad told him, I don't want you on the panel anymore. You're the one that's already deeming my son is dead. As long as that machine is
Yeah.
moving and that thing is breathing to show he has air in his lungs, we aren't doing
Uh-huh.
anything but keeping him going. And so he got replaced immediately. And then
I love it.
immediately, miraculously, I ended up, everything started turning back around for me. So after, again, about 2.5 months, I'm looking up, and actually I wake up out of this coma, right? And I can't even move except my eyes are open, everything is blurry. I see my
All
brother and
right.
my sister at the feet of my bed, and it
Mm-hmm.
looks like they're just laughing, arguing about something, and I'm not knowing what it is because I can't comprehend on anything. But then as soon as my sister sees me with my eyes open, she runs and gets the doctors, and here come the doctors attending to me, and I'm still bugging like, wow, what just happened? Not
So
knowing.
you had no idea like you had been in a
No,
coma. It's
no.
to you, it's like you're just waking up and you're thinking maybe it's been a day or
And that's exactly how it was for me, because it felt like
uh-huh.
at the end of the day, it felt like I slept for a long period of time. And I
All
even had
right.
dreams in there. But the way I knew, though, is that when I looked up, and maybe about a day or so later, when my vision was coming back better, I saw the calendar. And that's how I remembered that it wasn't the month that I was in when I got in here. And
Oh
so
wow.
that right there was kind of a wake up call. Keep in mind, even a couple of days later, so I couldn't talk. So after I had enough strength to have the tubes and everything removed out of me to get me off the machines, now I was cleared to go to rehab. I had to walk, talk, use my limbs all over again. So
Wow.
that was a scary point, and that's where I got to the point, Jared, where I said to myself, you know what? And hearing from my family of all that transpired during this time that I'm completely
Mm-hmm.
out, if I can get through this, I can pretty much beat almost anything. If lupus is going to take me out, it's not going to take me out easy, and I'll tell you that. So
You're going out
from
guns a
there,
blazing, huh?
and you know what, and I really, that's exactly how I felt. So it
Yeah.
came to a point where when the surgeries came up, shoulder replacement and the knee replacement, when those came up, I was like, okay, doc, let's schedule when we got to do it. Let's go. Let's get it done.
Let's
There was
do
no
it.
fear, no fear at all.
Yeah.
None. I'm not even, fear now what's going on, because the doctors can't explain to me what's going on with my brain right now. At the same time, it's kind of like I want to know what's going on, but I'm not scared. I'm
Sure.
not scared like, wow, they don't know what it is. It got to be the worst. Nah, it's not at all. Until they tell me, I'm going to keep living, doing what I do every day. If you see me and watch me on social media, you could tell it looks like I don't have a worry in the world because I'm trying to stay active and do everything. And that's the exact point that I'm talking about, of keeping my mind off of being sick.
Man, I love it. Seriously, I dig that. I do. Man, your positive energy is infectious, and I, I know that this hasn't been easy. Okay, and that's why I find it so inspiring because this isn't an easy journey for you, and the fact that you've overcome so much, it says a lot about you, your character, and and your just your mentality. With that being said, okay, the other thing I wanted to touch on is okay, your activity on social media, man, I love it. Okay, and
Thank you.
I'm hoping and people in the lupus kidney disease community, please comment below. Let them know that you support them. I want to see some more comments, man. Okay, I want to hear some noise. Okay, let's get some noise in here. But
That's
the
right.
speaking of some noise, bro. The other day, okay, you and I talked about this offline, but you did a Facebook Live and you talked about something that happened and how it had
Mm.
affected you. Would you share that? Because I think this is
Um,
another inspiring story.
Absolutely, man. You know what? With everything going on with COVID-19 right now, of course, we want everybody to be in the highest spirits. Unfortunately, some people, may have lost their jobs, lost a lot of things because of this. So right now, we already have that mindset to where things aren't stable right now. The other day, I was on my way over to Starbucks to get my lady and I coffee and an ice drink that we try to do often. And as I'm waiting on a light, which is about a block away, I see a lady crossing the street with a shopping cart and a lot of belongings in it. Possibly she may have been homeless, I'm not sure. But she ended up dropping something on the back end that I saw. And I'm thinking the two cars that ahead of me may have saw it as well. But I'm again 3 cars back, so I'm thinking hopefully somebody lets her know, or she even sees it. Wasn't the case. She made it across the street, and I'm seeing that the pattern of the lights are, I got time. So I jumped out of my truck, ran over to the to the street, got her bag for her, brought it to her, and she thanked me. I don't think she spoke English because she thanked me, didn't say a word, but she used the praying hands by nodding her head, saying thank you. So I'm cool. I'm glad she got her things. Went back to my car. Lights turned green. I end up going back. Excuse me. Lights turned green. I end up crossing the street, pulling into the Starbucks, waiting in this long line, of course. And then as I get to the window, the guy tells me, "Sir, you're good." And I'm like, "Okay, what does that mean?" "No, you're good. You're good. Here, the drinks are on the person in front of you that paid." And I'm like, "Really?" And she told me to tell you. She told me to tell you it's because of what you did at the light.
Oh
So
man.
that's what I call, when paying it forward for one. It's like I
Yeah.
did a simple gesture of helping somebody out, which I thought was the right thing to do, giving her, praising me by telling me thank you. And
Yeah.
then I'm in line in Starbucks. The lady must have been either one of these 2 cars ahead of me or something, but she ended up seeing what I
Something.
did,
Yeah.
paid for my 2 drinks that I had. So I walked away from that as not thinking, you know what? Yeah, I deserve this. I did good. No, not thinking that at all. Thinking, wow, there are grateful people in this world that see when good is being done and they acknowledged it. And that's just what happened.
Yeah. And that, wow, that's so cool because again, it's not that we do things to get praise, and
Right.
that's not at
Mm-mm.
all why you did it. But the
No.
fact that somebody saw it, okay, and somebody
That's it.
wanted to acknowledge it and do that, again, is a testament that there are still good people, despite the division, okay,
Absolutely.
what whether you're right wing, left wing, middle wing, whatever, and the division that we have going on a little bit with what's going on. Should you go back to work? Should you not go back to work? All this going on.
Right.
This is a testament that there are good people out there. That someone saw something that you did, okay, which is again praiseworthy. Praiseworthy because you felt like it was the right thing to do,
You know,
and you did it, okay. Which, by the way, is not always what people do, okay. God bless people, but even when they get inspired and God says, I think you should do this, sometimes people don't act on it. Even when God says this is what you should do, sometimes people don't
right.
act on it, okay. And you did, and it's so praiseworthy. And then the fact that somebody also acknowledged you and did that, man, again, is just a heartwarming story, inspiring that people still can come
Thank
together
you.
and be united, even with what's going on right now. I love that. It's such a good story.
And thank you. Thank you. And that's the reason why that day again, not to say what I, but seen it was acknowledged. And whether it's me seeing it with somebody else, the point is that there was seen. And if we can all out that's in need or in help, then I'm
Yes.
telling you, man, place can be a better place.
Amen. It's always the right time. I mean, I'm trying to remember who said it. Was it Martin Luther King Jr.? Somebody, but I think it's always the right time to do the right thing. Man,
That's
I
it.
may be off on. I think it was Martin Luther King Jr. But man, it is always the right time to do the right thing, and you did the right thing, and you did it even with traffic and everything.
Well,
But
again, I saw the pattern on the lights and I said, oh,
yeah.
that light's going to turn green before mine does. So I got time. So I did it. I did it.
Man, you're still pretty fit then, huh?
I try to be. I
All
try to be.
right.
Thank you.
so, we're coming. We got a little time left, but
Mhm.
with you talked about a little bit, and you mentioned the word flare up. Can you share with us,
Yeah.
what that means and how each flare up can maybe be a little bit different when you're getting a flare up?
Well, each person, because each person is different, each person
Mm-hmm.
has that. What the flares are basically your lupus symptoms that are magnifying like 10 times. Every time it's out of your control. The mental part about it is that you can totally stay home in bed and rest. A lot of fluids, let it pass. The word about it is that you're hospitalized and they have to bring your flare up down. Meaning, sometimes for me, it was intravenously on steroids. They would hook up an IV, pump me with steroids. It would bring
Hmm.
all of my levels that were very high down. And the triggers could be anything from which made, excuse me, major part of lupus is sunlight, and just sometimes the heat itself. For me, it's sunlight and the
Okay.
heat. We're in
Hmm.
San Diego, it's 90 degrees a day, so for me that's hot. That's hot.
Yeah.
And I did a feeding today of about 100, almost 200 meals that I helped distribute today, and that
Okay.
almost took me out. So I'm just glad to even be here on here with
Oh
you, because
man,
prior 30 minutes to this, Jared, I was on that
man,
couch under a fan cooling down.
oh man, oh my God.
But
Let's,
go ahead.
man, oh man. And continue because I want you to talk a little bit about that, and how the flare-ups are. But I want to get to your I want to get to your work that you do too, because you do more than
Oh, absolutely.
to bring awareness, and you help in the community. I want to get to that. So, but let's talk a little bit more about your flare-up, and let's get to that as well. So when
Yeah.
you're
So,
having a when you start to feel a flare-up, I mean,
mhm.
how does that make you feel? Do you feel like sharp pains, or do you feel
No.
like all of a sudden you're weak? How does that make you feel when you notice you're starting to get a flare up?
With lupus, Jared, the flares are unpredictable. I would probably say maybe 60% of the time I felt that something's not right. I need to stop what I'm
Okay.
doing. I need to lay down. Despite doing that, all you're doing is you're putting yourself in a position to where when you go to the hospital, you're in a sitting down or laying down position. You're not out running the streets where you collapse anytime. I've had
Okay.
flare-ups to where I was at home and I'd end up waking up in a hospital. I had flare-ups to where I'm out at work and I'd end up waking up in an ambulance. So
Oh my
it's
gosh.
it's and it's different for everybody. It's different for everybody with
Hmm.
lupus. We don't know when it's coming on. And like I said, the times that I can feel I'm starting to feel really heavy, lethargic. I'm getting starting to get dizzy. Starting
Hmm.
to sweat. I feel like I'm having a fever. I put myself in a position to where I'm more likely 99% I'm going to the hospital. So I let the family know. I put myself on the couch, and if they see me getting worse, they end up taking me into the emergency room. So we need to kind of grasp and having the knowledge of knowing what causes our flares, what triggered the flare last time, so I make sure I don't do it again this time. We all need
All
to be
right. All
mindful
right.
in regards to that, because that's things that we need to know and learn about ourselves, so that
Hmm.
again we're not doing something and then all of a sudden we're out and about, you have a flare and your family doesn't know. And it's just tough to do that. You want to make sure you educate and self-care yourself, so you
Gotcha.
know
All
how
right.
your body works and when these flares happen.
So you like jot stuff down, hey, when I did this happened, and you try to kind of log
Hmm.
everything, or how do you do that?
Yeah, keeping a log of everything for one thing. It's kind of like, and keeping a log literally writing of knowing that, hey, I was out in the sun too long on this day,
Hmm.
and then I ended up having a flare that next night. Or hey, I tried a vegetable I've never tried before, and next thing to my stomach, and I end up causing a flare that day. Whatever all of it entails is what is important that you need to know, so you avoid it. So you just
Okay.
avoid it as much as possible. I know that it's bad for me, and as I have mentioned, what I do with the nonprofit with, and today I was exposed a little bit more than I should, but I'm a guy. I push the limits, and that's why I was on the couch. That's why I was on the
Okay.
couch right before this interview.
All right, all right. All right, well, that's a good segue. Let's talk about what you do for your nonprofit and the work that you do in the community. So, you know, what
Sure.
you go to events, and help me understand, how you're doing this, and what inspired you to do more.
Okay, with lupus, it's kind of like since I started doing the advocacy, things were started me where I appreciate all that is working. But even me being advocate for lupus and talking about lupus, my girlfriend, long time, has an organization that she found herself called Hugs and Bags, and I've been actively in it with her, to where our job in the community is to support them. What we do is we provide food, clothing, toiletries. We have events where we include all that as well as a team of barbers that help the unfortunate, the homeless, veterans, anybody that needs more of a hand up instead of a handout. So
Oh,
that's what we
nice.
do. With all of that that's going on, we were having these events once a month prior to COVID. Now with COVID, of course, we can't have these gatherings. So we found a way to help these people by providing them individual meals and bringing it to them. So
Hmm.
my girlfriend got a connection with World Central Kitchen, which is a big place that is globally and help out with meals. And they connected us, that which started us giving out 250 meals a day that we were successfully giving them out, and the demand was even higher. They upped us to 500, now to 600. We give out 600 meals 4 times a week to senior homes, low income homes, essential workers, hospital, post office, grocery
Wow.
stores, banks.
Wow.
And we're a force. We have
Uh-huh.
volunteers that help us. I'm still looking for volunteers. So if you're in San Diego, help me out. Help me out. Bless other people by bringing them meals. But that's what me and her do 4 times a week. Tuesdays and Thursdays are our days off. So
All
let
right,
us
all right.
relax because I need it.
Exactly.
I
Yeah,
need it.
man. 4 times a
But you know
week,
what?
man. That's awesome.
And to me, it's a blessing to do that. So I may have
Uh-huh.
my Lupus Warrior shirts on now, and then I flip it. I wear my Hugs and Bags shirt
Okay.
because that's what we do. And to me, it's so much gratitude I receive to have somebody say thank you, to have somebody say we need this, to have somebody say I didn't have a meal until this, and it's like I'm just so glad that we come through for them.
Nice. So, speaking of making the way it makes you feel,
Oh yeah.
and that's what inspires me to do what I do as well. And I love doing what I do for kidney disease because the more I try to bring awareness, the more I try to help people in the kidney disease community. All right, the more
Hmm.
it makes me forget about my own problems. It makes me forget about
That's
me.
it.
You know
That's
what I
it.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does, but just keep in mind though that you, no matter what, come first. Because
Yeah.
how could I be help to others if I can't help myself?
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
what good am I? What good am I to others if I don't do good for
If I'm a
myself?
mess.
So
Yeah.
that's it. That's
Uh,
exactly it.
yeah. I feel you. I feel you. So when you're doing this and people are coming to you and they're giving you like they're expressing themselves, what do they say to you? I mean, what kind of
Oh,
things? What do they say to show their gratitude to you?
you know what? It's like God bless you all. It's we know, at least to me, God is the most high. Everybody, God bless. It's like I must have done something to touch their hearts or for them to say that. And so again, for me, because we're a nonprofit, we don't make any money of this. These places that sponsor us give us the vessels to take them out to all those in need. I don't get paid
Mhm.
for it. It's just in my heart to do it because, like you said, that's the payback for me. When somebody says, God bless you for you and your organization, what you're doing. Thank you for this my payment right there, and that's all that I require because we helped somebody today, we touched somebody's life today. With COVID again, with all the downside of it, a lot of people are financially, kind of hurting. And so
Yeah.
if I can make you smile and give you a meal, it's fine. The essential workers, they're like, I'm working double shifts. I barely get breaks. If I don't bring something from home, I don't eat much.
Yeah.
When they see me pull up with over 100 meals for their whole staff, it's like just the
Oh
feeling
man,
is the emotions are crazy. It is.
I can
It
only
is.
imagine, man, the smiles on their faces and the looks of
Mm-hmm.
gratitude or relief. Like, man, I might get
Yes.
something to eat now, or Uh, so did you have like a barber that was giving people fades and stuff before COVID-19 or
Yeah, no, we had a team of risk to keep in mind we're all here. We go to downtown and have our
yeah,
events. We have the homes, and they now keep in mind, unfortunately, these guys, can't afford to get a haircuts. So for us
yeah,
to go, that was one of our biggest assets of our event.
hmm,
People would come down just to get haircuts, just to make them feel better because they have nowhere to go, and we didn't charge a thing.
right,
The
yeah,
barbers personally doing how they want it. They like, can you cut a little bit here, a little bit here, do this and that. Barbers had no problem. It was let's just do it. If it's gonna make you happy,
yeah,
that's what we're gonna do. So it was blessed to have those type of events. Have said, because of COVID, we just found another way of doing it. We didn't quit just because COVID stopped everybody from gathering and going out. We didn't quit. We just found another way of doing it. It may not be cutting hair right now, and it may not be a lot of clothes, but this just giving individual meals. And I'm not saying from a pot, pouring it in a plate, boxed
Yeah.
meals on a
Right.
3-course meal, which from a kitchen is very good and delightful, and they're enjoying it.
Yeah. Oh man. Man, and you just said, we found a different way. Man, that's what you do, though. That's what you do. I mean, that's awesome. In your whole story, you've just, you this has just been a delight for me, bro, because every time you've talked about something that's happened, okay, you've had maybe a setback or you were in a coma, and then
Right.
you overcame that. I mean,
Right.
you just, you've been able to overcome so much. And, how has that brought you?
Yeah.
How has that brought you closer to God, and how has that made your faith stronger?
You know what? With the near death of being in the hospital with my heart, I say to this day, I say, with God, my family support, and my own self love that I have for myself to stay alive is how I got through this. And to me, it's just more of, I didn't do it by myself, but yes, I had a lot to do with it. But then the faith through my family, through my friend at that time, got me through it. And to this day, I stand as a warrior against anything me because get over it. The doctor's hands are blessed when they touch me, and I'm still here because of all of that. So everything that I mentioned in regards to just this interview alone of that I had is everything that has actually happened coming out in the book that I have coming out, and hopefully I get that done soon, and have more into me of what I've gone through. But the point is that with everything I've gone through, believing in God is first and foremost, because He's allowed me to get through the worst part of it, able to spread the advocacy and awareness and bring my story out, so especially other men. And one of the biggest things that I want to talk about is men not talk about their illness that they have. You could see me down the street. I'm just an ordinary dude. You would never. I have illness that I'm sharp on talking about. Now, guys feel again like we're defeated. We don't.
Right.
A woman's want to feel that we got something that's setting us back. We want to look at us in the high. To me, the world is going to be the highest light if we show strength, talk about our illnesses, talk about our weaknesses, and then that's part of us.
That's exactly it. And that's what I respect about you, bro. You're not letting this define you. You're not, you've become.
Thank you.
This is, yeah, absolutely. I respect that. I do, because you now have a self-confidence, and I think that comes from your self-care that you talked about, and you're not afraid of saying this is who I am, because without this, I wouldn't be who I am today without this. And and you have some things going on. Your doctors still don't know exactly what's going on, but your faith, all right, and your strength, and your courage is telling you that, hey, I've overcome all this already. This isn't going to get me. And if it does, hey, then it's my time. But you're strong and it's courageous. So it's been an absolute pleasure having you on Warriors Quest. But if you could say something to your lupus brothers, kidney disease warriors out there, what kind of words of encouragement would you give to the people out there that maybe have either lupus or kidney disease? What would you want to say to them?
What I would say, and like to push over the top, is start with advocate for yourself first. Self-advocacy is letting you understand what's going on with your body, to talk to doctors what's going on. Let them hear you. Don't let the doctors you tell them what's going on, and that's it. And then the doctors are like, they have to do whatever they want. The doctors will do more for you if you tell them more. Do not be ashamed, especially for men. Do not be ashamed that you had this type of issue, to your doctor. You got to let them know. When it came to my kidney issues and the problems and the pains then, I knew, and I read up on it on some of the things I needed to do to, give as much life as I can to my kidneys. And again, that has to go with being self advocacy, to where take care of yourself first. You will get into hard situation a bit easier than what you expect, because you're doing more for yourself than you know of. Just sat back and just said, do whatever you think is right. I sat back and told him, doctor, how are we going to address this me? How are we going to take care of this going on with me? They were on front page with me because they knew my concerns needed to be addressed. So that's the path that we went. If you feel your doctor is with you, guess what? There's a whole bunch of doctors that's out there that want to be with you. So do not settle for something that you feel is not right, something you feel it's been a long time and there's no improvement. Keep moving forward, guys. Keep forward. You women, with as much as I've learned from you with lupus prior to me standing out and speaking out for men, you guys gave me strength. You guys gave me the strength to see that, you can be strong. So I'm thinking, why can't a guy be strong? I'm not taking anything from anybody that has, problems with this, that can't deal with this. But there are people that's out there to you and encourage you and uplift you. I'm one of them. Join me on my social media page. If you need anything, reach out to me, message me. I'd be glad to talk to you, whether my experience, what I do to get past it, everything, and how do I keep myself motivated and strong. So anything else I can say to you is just more on a specific subject that you like to talk to me about. I'm more than open and willing to do.
Nice. You got the boxing gloves on, bro. I love that. You're not backing down,
Oh
huh?
yeah.
I love
I
it.
don't,
I
man. I
do.
don't. Too much going on right now. Too much going on. I've been in this world 50 years, believe it or not. I'm 50 years old. 25 years of my life of being sick. So I'm letting the other 5 of the good side way overspeak the 20 years of being sick. So
All
how I'm
right.
doing.
All right. Love it. Love it. Well, thanks, man. Thank you. Any shout outs before we end the show? Because, man, I seriously have really enjoyed this. I love your story. I love your enthusiasm.
Thank you. One and first is going out to you, me, to on here to put lupus on this platform. Lupus is one of those diseases that people are starting to just take such a long time. Show like yours that puts it out there with my following and people that shares and shares and shares can hear about lupus and get to know a little bit of what it is. Everything a lot you because again forms like this, lupus is still unknown. I can go on my post right now and ask anybody outside of my lupus community, do you know what lupus is? And I've done this at one time, and I'm getting a whole bunch of no. And now, and it's loud enough for me to know what it was. I went to, so it's a little embarrassing at the point I speak on the train of and lupus responses from it, and a lot more people will open up to you.
Amen, brother. Thank you. Well, it's been a pleasure. Thanks again for
Thank
coming
you.
on. Thanks for the
My
props.
pleasure.
Seriously, let's collaborate again. If you ever want me to, to come together on anything you do, I'd be happy to do that as well. Thank you.
I appreciate all of that. All of that. Much love to all my lupus, to everybody else fighting any autoimmune disease. Lupus. Stay strong because you got this.
That's all right. Thanks, bro. Thanks. Have a good evening, man.
Thank you. You too. Thank you.
Thanks, man. All right, guys, we've heard from Emmitt Henderson, and it's been an inspiring story. Okay, he's a kidney warrior because he had renal failure, was on PD. Okay, and then he had a kidney transplant. An inspiring story. All right, all on its own. He's overcome so much. Was in a coma. All right, he's been in and out of the hospital because of flare-ups. He shared a story about lupus. It's Lupus Awareness Month in May. So please share this broadcast. Share it because we've got a guy who's overcome so much. All right. And this story needs to be told in kidney disease Facebook groups. It needs to be spread in lupus Facebook groups. And please just share it. Start a watch party. Okay, let's do everything we can to help our warriors, fellow warriors, because as we know, okay, we've got many warriors, and I'd like to find out. Okay, comment please if you have kidney disease and also lupus. I know we have some kidney warriors out there that also have lupus. All right, I know we've got some because I've seen you on a lot of our shows on the Urban Health Outreach Media Network. So please comment below if you have kidney disease and lupus. All right. And please share this broadcast. I appreciate all of you. Mad love. All right. Without your following, without sharing this, this would not be a success. And I'm seriously thankful for all that you guys do to make this show successful. Thank you. Peace. I'm out.